Hey everyone, so I want to start off with this. There's always a truth hidden behind the walls. And it's not just the walls made up of brick and drywall. It's emotional walls, the spiritual walls, and the invisible walls we've learned to live behind. See, it's the walls at work, the walls at home. It's the walls we pass through every single day without ever asking what they are holding in. See, people walk through doors daily putting on their best faces. They'll smile, they'll say, "How are you?" And we'll answer like this: "I'm good." But see, that answer is often a lie we tell. So it usually starts to feel true. See, behind the surface, behind the routine, behind walls no one dares to look past, lives the truth, the kind that's too painful to say out loud, too uncomfortable to admit, and too risky to reveal. See, the reason it stays hidden isn't that it doesn't matter. It stays hidden because it matters too much. See, in the workplace, the untold truth is this: many people don't feel fulfilled, they feel trapped. Trapped in jobs that slowly drain the life out of them, trapped under workloads that never seem to end, trapped beneath expectations that keep rising but are never fully met. See, they wear professionalism like armor, and it's not because they're confident, but because they're exhausted. They hide the anxiety behind emails, they bury fear behind deadlines, they mask insecurity behind productivity. See, behind the office doors lives fear: fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. See, people rarely admit how often they question their worth in a system that measures value by output, performance, and numbers. They're afraid to speak up about burnout because burnout has been rebranded as weakness. So instead of resting, they push harder. Instead of honesty, they perform. Instead of healing, they survive. See, they sit through meetings where pressure goes unacknowledged. They nod along while expectations pile higher. They force smiles while silently wondering how much more they can take. So if the walls could talk, they'll tell the truth. They'll tell us about the countless moments when someone sat at their desk staring at a screen thinking, "I can't do this anymore." They'll tell us about people who wanted to walk out and never return, but didn't. And it's not because they loved the job. It's because quitting felt scarier than staying. So behind those walls are people who wake up every morning asking, "Is this all there is?" But see, they never say it out loud because saying it means confronting instability, financial insecurity, and the painful reality that they are replaceable. See, it's not just employees though. Managers carries the untold truth too. They fear losing control. They fear losing respect. They even fear being exposed as overwhelmed themselves. So instead of slowing down, they speed things up. Instead of admitting pressure, they apply more of it. And instead of asking for help, they pretend they're fine. See, everyone suffers quietly, even at home. The untold truth cuts even deeper because home is supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be rest. It is supposed to be peaceful. But for many, it's anything but. See, behind closed doors, struggles go unseen and unspoken. Emotional battles, financial stress, relational fractures. In many homes, marriages strain under the weight of what's never said. Resentment builds quietly. Expectations go unmet. Intimacy erodes slowly. See, couples that sit across from each other at a dinner table, sharing space but not connection. They talk logistics, not feelings, schedules, not struggles. They'll even stay together for the kids, for appearance, for what others expect. So behind those walls, many are afraid to admit that love has grown distance, not because it vanished, but because life buried it under survival. And see, the parents carry their own hidden truths. They're afraid to admit they don't always know what they're doing. They're overwhelmed by the pressure to be perfect. They're terrified that one mistake could damage their child forever. So they pretend they're confident. They pretend they have answers. They will pretend they're stronger than they think they really are. So while lying awake at night, replaying every decision, questioning every choice, and wondering if they're failing the people they love most. And then the one we always struggle with, there's money. One of the most significant untold truths behind household walls. People are closer to the edge than they let on. One emergency away from collapse. One missed paycheck away from disaster. Debts stay hidden, credit cards stay maxed out, fears stay buried. So if walls could talk, they'd tell stories of arguments over bills, of blame, of panic, of nights spending wondering how to make it through another month. But see, when the doors open, smiles appear because admitting struggles feels like admitting defeat. And there's also the truth about mental health, anxiety, depression, and trauma. People carry struggles daily but rarely share. At work, they fear losing credibility. At home, they fear becoming a burden. Parents hide pain from their children. Spouses hide pain from each other. But see, because vulnerability feels dangerous. And so silence continues and the truth remains untold. See, the walls of our lives hold these truths because telling them feels costly. Speaking up risks rejection. Honesty risks exposure. And truth risks change. But here is the absolute truth because that's what we do on the Hope and Renew podcast. Most people feel alone while standing next to others who feel the same way. Silence convinces us we're the exception. Truth reminds us we're not. Statistics confirm what many already know. Sexual harassment in the workplace is widespread, yet rarely reported. Fear of retaliation keeps people quiet. Disengagement at work affects the majority, but few admit it. Abuse in homes go unreported. And it's not because it doesn't exist, it's because fear speaks louder than safety. See, silence doesn't protect, it imprisons. Now I want you to imagine if silence had won in the scripture. What if the disciples kept what they knew behind walls? No Pentecost, no transformation, no gospel spreading through generations. See, Peter spoke despite fear. Paul wrote despite change because truth was worth the risk. Proverbs 31:8-9 tells us plainly, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Silence strengthens chains, but truth breaks them. See, we are called to speak, not recklessly, but courageously. To stand, not loudly, but faithfully. To shine light, not for attention, but for healing. Because truth sets people free, and faith requires boldness. See, the untold truth is this. Silence may feel safe, but it never heals. Maybe the bravest thing we can do, finally, is let the walls talk. And here's why hope is still here. And it's not because life suddenly gets easier. It's because truth still has power. Hope is still here because even behind the thickest walls, something inside us is still alive, still breathing, still longing for more than survival. Hope exists because silence hasn't erased our humanity. Pain hasn't stripped us of purpose, and fear hasn't canceled God's presence. Renewal is possible because brokenness isn't the end of the story. It's often the beginning of transformation. So what feels like failure can become fertile ground. What feels like exhaustion can become the moment we finally stop pretending and start healing. Renewal doesn't start when everything is fixed. It starts when we tell the truth. When we let light touch places we kept hidden. We kept hidden when we admit we can't do this alone anymore. Hope is still here because God specializes in restoration, not perfection. See, He doesn't wait for us to have it all together. He meets us right in the middle of the mess, in the pressure, in the fear, and in silence. See, and renewal becomes possible the moment honesty replaces hiding, when courage interrupts fear, when truth breaks the grip of shame. So if you're listening to this and thinking, this sounds like me, that's not a coincidence. That's confirmation. Hope is still here for you. Renewal is possible for you. And it's not tomorrow. It's not when life slows down, but right now, because the story isn't over. And what's been hidden doesn't have to stay that way.